Hi, my name is Kara Pilgrim with Woodlands Online, and I am here with Jim Napolitano, who is running for Montgomery County Sheriff. Jim, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, Kara, and the rest of the staff that's here. I'm Jim Napolitano. I am currently the Chief of Police in the City of Montgomery. I have a wife and 5 children. I live in the City of Montgomery right now, but actually now annexed by the City of Conroe. And I've been there since 2004. I have my own security business, which I was running out of the City of Conroe, which we do all types of security, physical and electronic. Before that, I was with Marathon Oil as their security representative, both the U.S. and European Union security rep. During that time, I did work for a lot of their other international locations and did a lot of work overseas, Iraq and Equatorial Guinea and Libya, places like that. Before that, I spent 22 plus years as a Secret Service agent in the United States, Houston field office, and then a lot of other locations. In that time, before becoming a Secret Service agent, I was a deputy for the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, or as they call it, a reserve deputy from 1983 to 1986. In 1985, I got my full-time non-paid commission with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office while I was still an engineer working for a local company here in the oil field. I'm a graduate of the University of Houston. I have a degree in mechanical engineering technology from U of H. And before that, I lived in New York City with my parents, and my dad was a New York City police officer. I moved here in 1977 to go to the University of Houston.
And why are you seeking candidacy for this position?
I always say that life's like an opportunity. That opportunity will show itself at certain times and then not. And a good friend of mine was going to run for sheriff, and he decided that he wouldn't. And he didn't even put his name in the hat or anything else. He just took another job and said, I'm not going to do it. And at that point, he and I discussed it, and I decided that it was a good opportunity for me with my experience. It was a good way to give back to my community, and that's the biggest part is, you know, I started here back in the 80s in law enforcement. Through the years that the United States Secret Service and all the other places I've worked have trained me well to do things very well. I have a skill set that is needed, I think, right now in Montgomery County, and I have the experience and the leadership to take Montgomery County Sheriff's Office to a new level. I felt that it was time to do this for my family, for the community, so that I can give back and relay my experience back to the young men and women that are at the Sheriff's Office now.
What is one outstanding contribution you would make if elected?
If elected, I think one of the outstanding contributions I would make at the Sheriff's Office is bringing morale to a higher level, to bringing the Sheriff's Department to being the best Sheriff's Department in the state of Texas. I think that the men and women here want to do that, but I think they're being held back right now by the leadership. So one of the things that we will institute is the ability for these deputies to think outside the box, to bring their contribution every day to their job instead of being told by the upper management at high what the only things that they're allowed to think about. So I would like to change the morale, change the structure of reporting, and move the Sheriff's Department into a new level where that they can feel like they have ownership of their job on a daily basis, that it's not just the sheriff's job, but it's also the department's job, and that all these deputies on a daily basis will feel like, wow, I want to go to work every day. I want to go out there and I can't wait to get in my car and go do what I do.
How would you improve the safety of Montgomery County?
Well, we always look at our safety on a daily basis, and one of the things would be educating, not only getting better training out for our deputies, and everyone looks to the Sheriff's Office for their safety, but you should also look internally at yourself for your own safety or your awareness and how you live on a daily basis. So one of the things that we would do is have a closer relationship with the community. You know, some people call it community policing. It's very, very simple. It's just getting the community and the police together. We're doing that at the Montgomery Police Department now. We do that by having coffee with cops, by having National Night Out, which all agencies do. But I try to bring to the officers of Montgomery Police Department, which I would do the same with the Sheriff's Office, is that they need to do the outreach. That people are sometimes afraid of talking to a police officer, and that we need to break that barrier. And that barrier can be broken very easily by the officers doing the outreach or the deputies doing the outreach, where they go out and I ask my officers to make 10 contacts a day. I said, this is very simple to do, and that doesn't mean making 10 traffic stops. That means stopping at a store, talking to the store owner, stopping at a residence where someone might be out doing their lawn that day, and you're driving by, just stop, hey, I'm Officer Bob, here's my card. If you ever need anything, please call me, but obviously if it's an emergency, please call 911. But you know who I am, you see me go by, or if you have any problems, you can call me direct, here's my cell phone number. So getting the people of our community to understand who their deputies are, who their officers are on a daily basis, and having that personal interaction with them makes a big difference instead of just seeing that little car go by. Oh, there goes a cop, you know. So what we want to do is change that attitude. What we want to do is make everyone understand that we're human too. We have lives, children, our kids go to the same schools as all the other kids. So we want to get that out there and that we can be accessible to the public.
Can you elaborate on your community service record?
My community service record started with becoming a reserve deputy for the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. And I call that being the volunteer. And volunteerism in the United States is how we got started. You know, General George Washington didn't have an army that he paid, he had volunteers. Volunteers started the army here in Texas to fight against Santa Anna. So that's what I decided I would do. I would be a volunteer police officer. Sometimes it's looked down upon in the community, in the police community, as being as called just a reserve, but we don't do that with firemen, and we don't do that with teachers or people that volunteer at the schools or at the hospitals, but we kind of have this situation where they look down on volunteer police officers. But I gave as many hours as I could because I wanted to give back to, you know, once I figured out what it was, I said, now this is a great way to give back to your community. This is a great way to say, I want to be part of the, you know, of the Montgomery County Conroe area. I take part in it every night when there's a call. If I was out on a Friday night, to make sure that the streets were safer, to make sure that we had just one more person out there to make a difference. So I did that for my first 3.5 years as a reserve, and then continued to do that by volunteering at other functions once I became a Secret Service agent. You know, I used to volunteer for all the parades in Conroe and try to do that. I give back at my church. I am a member of the Woodlands Church, and my wife and I, we volunteer as often as we possibly can for any of the events that they're there at the church where they can use us.
And what is your favorite thing about this community?
Well, you know, when I first got here, Montgomery County was 125,000 people, and Houston was the big town, and there was a big separation between the two. After leaving and going to Washington for 9 years, and then coming back after 4 years in the Waco area, I noticed that it's grown up, and we went to 524,000 people. But it still has a small town feeling to it. You know, there's a lot of places where we still go and feel like we are part of the community, whether it's at an event or just going to the kids' soccer games or an events for the adults. It's still a close community, and I feel that we need to be a little bit closer together, because I see, unfortunately, the county splitting into 4 to 5 little factions, and we need to figure out some way to bring that back together, where the Woodlands is 1 and East County is 2 and the Conroe area is 3 and the folks in Willis are 4 and the people out towards Montgomery are 5. So we have these 5 separate little areas, and then Magnolia is 6, but we want to bring it all together, and I think that's a good job for the sheriff to help do by his community policing and having people more in touch with each other, as far as, your kids go to high school here, but having some types of events that bring everyone together, much like the Montgomery County Fair, which I always think is a great function.
And what makes you stand out from the other candidates, and why should people vote for you for Montgomery County Sheriff?
I have a lot more experience than the other candidate as far as leadership and in serious police work, in investigations, in doing many lead advances for the President of the United States, for the anytime we had a foreign figure come locally, we did advance work for those figures, and also being that particular person with their detail. My experience is very long. It would take us too long than we have here at this interview to explain everything. So when I say I have more experience, that I've been on the street, I've done more tactical things, I've done more investigative cases, starting with the sheriff's office. Back in 1986, Captain O'Shaughnessy had me assigned over to the sheriff's office detective division, where I worked Class B and Class C and Class A misdemeanor cases for Montgomery County. I took that into the Secret Service, where I became a criminal investigator there and worked hundreds of cases in the Houston field office. At one point, I developed a source of information. That source led me into a special task force with the DEA and the CIA, where we worked overseas in Cyprus and then would go out to different countries and investigate a major threat against the United States. And we worked that case for many, many years. I then left and went to the Bush detail in 1993 and worked the former president here in the Houston area. And then becoming the resident agent in charge for President Bush's ranch in Crawford. What most people don't understand is the logistics behind a single presidential visit is greater than what most people realize, because of the number of people and assets it takes to do just one presidential visit. So having said all those things, and then leaving the Secret Service and going to work in the corporate America, but also still doing the same thing, going overseas and working with foreign countries, like I did with the Secret Service. That's why Marathon Oil needed my expertise. I worked with police departments all over the world. I've been in Great Britain, I've been in France, I've been in Italy, I've been most of Europe, in Asia, China, did a major advance in China. So all these things bring to me that I've worked with police departments all over the world to say, okay, what do they do really well, and what can we bring to the table? So I was able to get experience with all of those police departments and see how they work. Now I want to bring that experience to Montgomery County. I think that's what makes the difference. My opponent has spent 20 years with the sheriff's office, and he's done a great job, but I think that being in one place, doing one particular job pretty much for his entire career, shows the difference that I have, have diversity in my training, diversity in my experience. Well, all I'd just like to say is that, that this is a great thing to do to run for office. I never expected to be that person. When I got hired as the chief of police for the city of Montgomery, I just thought it was a great honor. And people say, well, you were a Secret Service agent beforehand. I go, that was beforehand, and now this is the job that I do. We took the Montgomery Police Department to a new level. We actually have people wanting to come to work there, where before they were always out looking for new people to bring into that police department. It's not just me, but it's all the people that work there. My command staff, the officers that work there do a great job, but they also have a great feeling about they have ownership of their job, and I back them up 100%. The thing that I like to say is that a few months ago, I was at an event down at the Harris County Sheriff's Office, and one of the captains said to me, so how many police officers you got working for you there? And I said, none. He said, you don't have any police officers there? I said, no, I have 16 police officers, sworn, but I work for them. They don't work for me. My job as the chief is to get them the equipment, the training, and the education, and the information they need to get their job done. I work for them. That's my job. They go out and work for the people too. So if they're all set with the things that they need, they can get their job done, and then they make me look good. So I have to say that the folks there at the Montgomery Police Department do a great job. We're always striving to be better, but we're working really hard, and my job is to work real hard to get them the things that they need. So it's kind of a reversed idea that they work for me. I don't think that, and it would be the same if I become sheriff. If elected sheriff, I'll work for the people. I'll be a public servant, and I want to bring that idea back to the sheriff's office, that we work for all the citizens of Montgomery County, and we try to get a job done to make them safer.